Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. It's Tom from Came to Believe Recovery with our UK live version of Recovery Live today. We are broadcasting to you from Northern England. These guys will correct me, in the Pennines district.
Yeah, that was nearly right. That was nearly right, Tom. You're doing well.
I'm growing. I'm getting better, and I feel good about that because I have not been able to get that straight. But it's beautiful country up here, and we're at Minster Acres, not Minister Acres, but Minster Acres, and it's a retreat center that we've been to a few times, guys. This is the third or fourth year straight, right, Dee?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 years.
Yeah.
Here at Minster Acres, presenting the program of recovery. And the wonderful Melissa McManus is next to me on my right, and Dee Cunniffe on my left, of which you guys have seen in all sorts of various venues on our chat and in pictures and on videos before. But,
and when we took over, when the UK takes over Recovery Live.
Well, they kind of sit in while I'm away.
No, we take it over. We take over. Well, Vanessa and I take it over.
Oh, yeah, Vanessa and I. Christina, welcome. You're like it. She says, hi, recovered. Yes, she's already saying recovered. Doc, how are you from Las Vegas? It's cool. Isn't that cool that somebody from Las Vegas all the way that far can be there? Taryn, hey, Taryn, how are you?
Hi, Taryn. Hello, my friend.
It's exciting for us to be here today. We've done this. I think this is my third year here, or fourth. I don't remember. But to come up here and spread this message to the people. There's 50 people at retreat this weekend with 30 newcomers. So 30 people that have never been here before. That's really why we do this, right, guys? It's for those newcomers, those people who have been at whatever level of recovery that they're at or not recovery, and to come up and hear this message of the founders and get some freedom.
Taryn likes my hair color.
Who does, Taryn? I told you. People would like the hair color of Millie.
So behind us, I want to show people this amazing fireplace. This is where we are in Minster Acres. The venue's over here. We have the most amazing antique buildings. And so Tom's head, move over. You can see there's this beautiful fireplace behind, which is, I don't know, I believe it's really old. It's older than Victorian. So it's lovely over here. It's beautiful here.
And I started the fire.
Yeah. So
actually, there's 2 or 3 of them. I started all of them around the place.
You're a fire starter.
It was cold, so we had to start.
Are you a fire starter?
I am.
Yeah. We're all fire starters here, actually, at Came to Believe, because what we do is that people come and they're full of pain and not very happy and maybe some brokenness, and that's how I was. And then the steps start the fire. So we are fire starters here, and Tom is especially a good fire starter.
Well, at the fire, yep.
And Melissa's a good fire starter too.
Melissa's a good, yeah. We came from all over the place, guys, because none of us live here. Obviously, I came from the States. Melissa came from Wales, so she had to drive in yesterday. And Dee took a train up from Manchester today, and we all met in Newcastle. So it's been quite an adventure, a journey for us all to get here. But we're all, happy to do it, and not only happy, but excited to do it because we know what happens once we get here. And I know that Melissa and I were talking, or texting anyway, about this retreat last week, about how we really feel like there's something special that's going to happen here this week, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Just feeling in my bones.
All right. And there's always something that we never, at the end of the weekend, we say, oh my God, if we only knew, we'd always know, but we never know who it is and the changes and the transformations that happen every weekend that we do this. It just keeps us going. It's exhausting. I shouldn't say exhausting. I said it's effort. It takes a lot of effort, right? I think that word exhausting makes it sound like a negative thing.
Yeah, and it's not. No, we get energized, and there are times, where there's a lot of organization behind it and stuff, and that can be a little challenging at times. But we do, if we're connected with our beautiful power, this God, and we do receive energy if we're open to it, I think. Don't you think, Tony?
I do. I definitely think so. That relationship that we started back when we came into this program does fuel us.
I think so.
So a little history, guys. Dee could help a little bit better on this as to what are we doing over here in the UK, and how did Came to Believe get over here in the UK, and how did this all start?
Okay.
On an overview, how did we get here?
Okay, so many of you in the USA will know that Clarence Snyder started these retreats in 1966, and then Steve Foreman and his wife Sue, who Sue might be with us, she's quite often with us on Recovery Live. They were handed over the retreats when Clarence died in the 1980s, and then in the early 1990s, one of our UK people travelled over, a guy called Paul Doyle. He went through the steps just like anyone who's been to Came to Believe had, and had an amazing experience like I've had, like Melissa and like Tom has, and came back over here and said, oh, that would be a really good idea, let's start. So that's down in Buckfast Abbey. And that was running for a while. Also, there's a guy, so Noel Scully, he was also involved with setting up a retreat in Liverpool in those sort of into that late 90s, early 2000s. And then coming into the 2000s, it's really like there's a lot of retreats now. There's in the south of England, there's the Kent retreat and one in Hertfordshire. There's also Derbyshire that started up, Crewe, which is like Cheshire. Liverpool still runs, and North Pennines is right up. This where we are now is right up near Scotland. So we're right from down in the south, all the way up through the UK and Wales as well. There's retreats in Wales. Have I missed any retreats out? Can I say about just about Lake District actually?
Sure, absolutely.
So we're now expanding. So North Pennines has always been in just once a year. We needed to see how does it work, and it gets busy every time. So now we will run it twice a year. So we will be running North Pennines retreat right up north of the Lake District, right up in Scotland, twice a year. So the next one's in March. But in 2024, we're opening up a Came to Believe retreat in the Lake District, which is such a beautiful area. We're very excited about that, but we're going to wait till 2024.
2024 in the Lake District. It's really exciting to see what's happening over here in the UK, and Dee and I and the board behind the scenes have been working on creating a charity, which is what in the US we would call a nonprofit organization. It's the formal organization that will allow us to just be incorporated as a nonprofit charity here. And we're going to be down in London later at the beginning of next week meeting with some people, and we're getting ready to put the final paperwork in. These kind of things help the organization to be able to grow and help it to have a little structure so that we can spread all around and train some people, and so we can end addiction, and so that we don't have to hear as often as we do, why didn't anybody ever show us this?
I'd like to introduce Terry, who is sat at the side here. And Terry is like, excuse me, I mean, like a real proper right-hand man, and has worked with me over, please come and join. It's Terry Wade. I'm going to big up this man.
Terry!
Yay.
Golf clap, Terry.
I want to big up this man. And I know we don't want to be too bigged up, do we? We don't want to get all puffed up and everything. But, all I know is that over these years, ever since Terry first came, he just turns up and does stuff that needs doing and doesn't moan about it and just gets on with it. Very straight if he can't do it. But so Terry, tell people about how it all started, you coming to Came to Believe, because it wasn't just like, oh, I'll just come along and it'll be very nice. You were, I think you had a little bit of, you weren't very sure about us, were you?
Yes, so Came to Believe in Grassroots Recovery. So my story is that I've been around 12-step fellowships for a while. The good thing about Came to Believe as well, it's all, you know, it's not drug specific. It's any mind altering substance.
Mhm.
So I come from a fellowship of Cocaine Anonymous, and so I knew the big book a little bit inside out, but there was this thing that was missing, and obviously it's that, you know, that hole that we need to fill. You know, I mean, although I wasn't drinking or using, there was something not quite right, and so what had happened was trying to help this young lady one day out on the street, and you know, trying to 12-step her. It was on a Thursday, and we took her to an AA meeting actually, and then and that was it. You know, I didn't see her after that, and that was on a Thursday. And then I went to a meeting on a Wednesday, an AA meeting I wouldn't normally go to, and this young lady walked in, and she looked different, you know, and the meeting started, and then she just sort of jumped up in the middle of the meeting, and she went, "I'm recovered." And you know, it's all about this power, you know, and she named the power, and I was like, "Oh, what's happened to you?" You know, and I went over and I had a conversation with her, and I said, "What's happened?" She said, "You know, you're saying you're recovered, and you know, you're talking about this power, and you know, you've been away on a weekend retreat, you've done the steps, you know, you can't do that." You know, I'm like the CA police. I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I need to go and investigate this." You know what I mean? And that's what I say to people: go and have your own experience. So what happened was I booked up to the next retreat, and I come along, and I learned about this grassroots method. And I just met some people a minute ago, and people come to retreats, and you see people get off, you know, out of buses, trains, they arrive, all different degrees of brokenness. You know, what happens on retreats is healing. Yeah, broken people come here to Came to Believe, and they get healed. You know, I was having some conversations with a couple of people a minute ago, and you know, and it might be, well, you know, I haven't used alcohol, but of course addicted into this substance now, whatever it is, and they hadn't found this solution that we talk about, you know, this God, this power that lives inside us that comes in and changes and recreates lives. And that's what Came to Believe Recovery is about. It's about recreation. It's about having a completely new life, you know, not just drinking or using or acting out behaviours. It's about total freedom. And that's what happens, you know, and that's what I found. You know, I found this missing piece. You know what I mean? The secret, I call it. You know what I mean? Which lives inside every one of us, deep down inside, is this power that we can access that comes in and changes. You know, and we explain what that power is. You know, and I had an experience with that power on the retreat. You know, I went on the retreat, I took the steps, and I had an experience. You know, I had the spiritual awakening in the sense that I changed in my thoughts and attitudes. But I still had these defects of character that hadn't really been, you know, I wasn't given a clean sheet, put it that way. And steps said when they get removed.
You know, it's wonderful, guys. When I come to these, when I came in, the first meeting I went to was like a Came to Believe meeting where I met Vicky Weishert and John Zamrock were there. So I never heard it any different than what we talk about here at the retreats. But we see stories like Terry's all the time, and even Dee came in. I think when she came in, she wasn't having any of this. I think at the beginning, she said she acted very poorly at her first retreat. And you know, she's a little bit better at them now, right? I mean,
I act slightly better than I did the first time.
But watching, you know, sometimes it's so much fun to watch somebody like come in who's come from fellowships and been struggling, really, right? They're taught that it's a struggle, and watch them just transform over a weekend, and how we show them. And guys, if for anyone in the audience that doesn't know what we're doing here at Came to Believe, what we do is we didn't make anything up. Came to Believe. All we are doing is we are presenting you the program of the founders, the program that they were doing back in the Akron, Cleveland area in the late 1930s and through the 40s, where they were taking people through the steps originally very quickly, and sometimes less than a weekend. We're taking a weekend, but in many, many times less than a weekend. And these guys were calling themselves recovered, not cured, but recovered. And they got a set of tools that we have, and we hand to everybody now. Go forth, starting Monday morning, it can happen when they leave here, or Sunday afternoon, and begin to build a life. And you're right, Terry, it's not just about getting off drugs or alcohol or whatever that substance or whatever that thing has you in brokenness. It's about getting a fourth dimension of a life like you never knew. And a lot of us, that's what we really wanted, right? And it's some of the biggest surprise to me was this stuff that they didn't, you know, I didn't know I was going to get this life, right? It's really amazing. So watching those things happen this weekend are going to be really amazing.
And taking the steps over a weekend, I just had a conversation with a gentleman over there, and I said, "Oh, how are you doing? You know, welcome." He said, "Yeah, you know," I said, "I'm coming to this retreat." You know, I said, "I'm starting my step one next week." My sponsor said, "You're taking 12 steps over the weekend?" He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, you know, I'm having experience with that." He's like, "Okay." You know, so it's, you know.
I'd love to for Melissa to tell us about job that she does. I know I'll come, Terry, you stay. I'm going to leave over. Come over here. Melissa, tell us about what you do as a job, how, you know, what you're doing in the background to help people, what your role is.
So my role within the on-ground retreats is as acting as like a registration and sort of liaison. So what I tend to do is I set up registrations. We have all our registrations online. I help with any sort of queries, you know, managing the website, bedroom, you know, all the bedroom requirements, dietary requirements, liaising with the venue, you know, sort of setting up communications and stuff like that. It's very, very varied. And it's amazing because I get to build these sort of connections with these people, these newcomers, you know, before they've even come to the retreat, you know, and then they come to the retreat, you know, and put a face to a name, you know, and they recognize somebody they've sort of spoken to. It's really special. It really is. Yeah.
And Melissa had been to an on-ground retreat before you went to the virtual retreat, right? But the virtual retreat is kind of where she got connected with us, I think, right? Is that fair to say?
It is, yeah.
So, you know, we had during COVID, guys, we'd gone all virtual. And I still remember, Dee and I talk about this. We had no idea what was going to happen. You remember that, Dee? And we said, let's just try it. But Melissa is one of many that were touched even at that virtual retreat and has grown over these last couple of years to be a really valuable part of our leadership team and volunteer and actual is employed by us at a level to help us manage these retreats. And we hope that she'll stick with us in the future as we grow into a movement here in the UK. In many ways, guys, us in the US, I'm a little amazed and I'm a little humbled at how they fill retreats here. They kind of turn on registration and 50 people show up. And we haven't had the case like that in the US lately. And who knows, there's a bunch of reasons and stuff like that. But it's really going strong over here, guys. And I think, Melissa, you said the next retreat, there's already 30 or 40 signed up, right?
45.
45, and that retreat is when?
End of
January.
End of January. So they're either really got a lot of problems over here in the UK or our grassroots effort is really working. And it's people like Melissa and Terry and Dee who are out there. And I hope I can inspire our local US grassroots people to be out in those meetings. You know, we tend to get into that meeting. I know that some in the US, we get into our nice Came to Believe meeting and we just love that and it helps us and we do. But we are supposed to be out there meeting the least, the last, and the lost. We're supposed to be meeting the newcomer. We're supposed to be out there where that person hasn't heard our message. And that's really where we want to be. And it's so exciting because that's what we're going to do in 2 weeks in the Bronx, where we're going to go to St. Anthony's Mission, which you've heard me talk about before, and see if we can reach. We're not going to see if we can. We're going to reach out to some like that. But for now, it's just really exciting to be here this weekend. And
I think you made an interesting point, Tom, as well about this message can be carried, you know, virtually as well. Like you said, you know, there's no better time now to be in recovery, you know, for grassroots recovery, you know, hands across the ocean as well. That was a great thing for us in recovery. Out of something bad, COVID happened, but something good come, you know, we could connect the UK with the States. And then, like I say, virtual retreats, people have come on a virtual retreat and they're now coming and having an experience at face-to-face retreat. You know, I mean, we are the message, you know. The thing is, you know, I carry this message into our own community. You know, when I was in active addiction, everyone knew what I was. I mean, I wasn't very anonymous. Everyone knew, that's a lunatic guy, you know what I mean? So, you know, but every individual is different, you know what I mean? But, you know, how we conduct ourselves is how basically how we carry a message, whether it's coming on a retreat and then going back to our home group or whatever fellowship, and they look at you like that, sideways, like, that's different. You know, they go, there's something different about that person. He looks different, he sounds different, he is different, you know, and that's because we found his secret, you know, the power that lies within us that comes in and recreates lives and changes and fills that void, you know. So I haven't got to go to 300 different fellowships worldwide to fix that void because the power's in it. And you know, that dis-ease has gone. You know, I was talking to a lady outside about that dis-ease. You know, dis-ease.
Yeah.
I'm not at ease. You know, I need to act out because I'm not comfortable within. And that's what this is about. That's the secret.
And you know, that virtual thing did help us to that anyone, guys, could it could hear the message, at least hear us talk. I think there's at least a virtual meeting every day of the week that anyone could sign up to and attend worldwide. And that's a big deal because before this whole Zoom craze, if there wasn't a local Came to Believe meeting, there wasn't any way to hear the messages. And now with these Zoom meetings, there's any day you could go on. And so it's a big deal when you leave here, especially when you get out back there in some of the mainstream meetings who tell you what happened this weekend didn't happen, right? That you have support and that you have people that can continue to help you grow in 10, 11, and 12, because we know it's not a one-off. We don't finish this weekend and have it be done. This weekend is a start to your growth for the rest of your life. You know, step 10 says what we do is continue to grow in understanding and effectiveness, right? It's designed for living, guys, and we're fitting ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the fellows around us. And so there's a growth process, but it can come from a recovered standpoint. We get recovered and we grow. We have that defense against the first drink. We have it. And from that point, we just have the same problems that all of you have. Only is we have some tools better than a lot of people in order to handle it. You know, I mean, so many of my friends, I wish they all came through this, don't you? You know?
And that's the freedom. The freedom is having a mental defense.
Right.
You know, that's the freedom. We can go anywhere, free man, woman, you know, providing we do some stuff, you know, and that's that continuation, like you said, you know.
I mean, Melissa and I today, we were in Newcastle, and I got into my train a little earlier than Dee, and we parked, and we said, let's go get a cup of coffee, and we walked into a tavern. It was a tavern without a thought, though, guys, of anything. We just went in, and they had coffee, and we had a cup of coffee, and there wasn't even a thought about having a drink or anything.
Tavern.
Tavern, yeah,
A tavern.
Simpsons.
A pub.
It was actually called a tavern now.
It was a tavern.
It's a
Just
tavern.
got it.
Formal tavern.
Yeah.
But it was a pub. It was a bar. You know, it was right. They were drinking. The guys were drinking, and it was morning. You know, but it's something that I know I'm transformed, and it's been some years for me. And I know Melissa, I'm sure we just sat there like nothing, right? She had a double espresso, and then she was talking and talking after a double. No, it wasn't. That's what you had.
No, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this is that freedom, guys. And these are things that we get in Came to Believe. There's good reason to go to places like that. We just don't have a worry. Now, I don't go to places like that just for the fun of it, but we went in and had a cup of coffee and it was fine. But that doesn't surprise me as much as it might surprise some that would say, you can't ever go into a bar. You can't ever go. You'll be too tempted. And that's not what this is about. And that's not what it was ever about. But from the founders is to get us to a place where we had to struggle day in and day out.
Did you see what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, but no whiskey in it.
No, there was no whiskey in it, Dee. You see, she's doing comments, guys. This Tom Clancy, how are you, my brother? A glass of milk. I like that, Tom. Yes, go Yankees. I know I saw that before, Tom, but they're playing golf this week, unfortunately. At least the Red Sox are playing golf before the Yankees were. Tim Lewick, hey Tim, how are you? Chris Keel, good to see you. Jamie's here. Let's see, where's Anna this week? I saw Anna getting shout out. Anybody know where Anna and Sunny is? Those two usually are here every week. That's really, it's got us a little worried. Where are you guys? We love to see you. So that's what we got. Right now we're just getting ready. We've got all set up here, and we're waiting for everyone to show up. Sue Foreman is here. I have a feeling they're in Winter Park, Florida now. They're not in North Carolina anymore.
Tell us about the Leesburg retreat and how that all started.
The Leesburg retreat, guys, was the flagship retreat that got started. Really, it was as a result of Steve wanting to be in a little bit better place than Camp Florida, which is where they were at. When Clarence was running the retreats, it was a place called Camp Florida, and it was very rustic. But it was the first place where Clarence started the retreats because he lived there. He had started them down in Florida. And they were transferred about the second year in, or third year that he was doing these, to Leesburg, to the Methodist Retreat Center in Leesburg, where Steve and Sue and Jack and BJ ran the retreats initially. And that's all there was. There was one retreat back then. It was there. And then it spread to one in Wisconsin, Dale Morfitt. And then I think eventually it spread to one in New Jersey. And for about 10 or 15 years, there was only about 4 retreats anywhere in the world.
Stretched across the room.
Right. And then it just exploded. But Leesburg is where it started, Leesburg, Florida, Central Florida, with Steve and Sue and Jack and BJ. I guess mainly Steve and Sue. So you guys been there?
I've been to the place, but not the actual retreat.
Not that. Oh.
I've been to a summit.
So I'm the only one that's been to the Leesburg retreat. Just so you guys know, I'm the only one that's been to Leesburg of this gang.
Okay. Very special man.
See, Dee says it's very special, but she has a very funny look on her face right now. I'm going to pay for some of this. Oh no, now Melissa's going to let her come in and make her
So I'm
face
going
to
to
you
now
guys.
enter in and join in on it. I just really loved hearing there from, so Melissa's, she's just gone off to do the things she does. But it was really good to hear about that background work. You guys maybe don't know that have been to a retreat and just don't realise all that happens in the background. There's a major amount of work happening between Lisa, who comes on here sometimes, Kasara, and Melissa over in this country. Not only the registration, but actually the setting up of the registration. And there's, things come up like issues, like problems happen.
Excuse me, there's a retreat on here.
So, problems happen and, problems come up. Sorry, that was a lady who wanted the tea trolley. So that's why I was like, we haven't got a tea trolley. What was I saying? That lady came in and wanted the tea trolley. What did it?
Just the background and what goes on, what
Oh,
it takes to put on the retreat.
Yeah. So in the background, Melissa is creating a new system to make it better for people when they're trying to book on, because we found a couple of glitches. And some of you who've been to the retreats here would be like, I don't understand why it does that. And it's not really that easy to understand. Or we could, why don't you send more emails out? Or the emails will go into junk mail. All that sort of stuff that comes up. So she's working in the background to try and of course, that's why we ask people to contribute, to Came to Believe, because it all costs money to set up systems, that will make it easy. So if you're really broken and you want to just book on, you don't want it to be glitchy or difficult. You want to be able to get on and be able to just book on and come and get well and to recover. So it's a massive important role. And most people have no idea. And what often happens is, this is me. Okay, so I'm only talking about me now. I arrived at a first retreat and I was really rude on the Friday night because I didn't like what was going on. You can't imagine me being rude, can you? Tom cannot imagine me being rude. Terry can't imagine me being rude. Or I'm not going to use the word because it's a bit of a rude word. Or being a bit rude. Yes, I'm not going to say the word I was going to say. But, being difficult, very, very difficult. Very difficult. And, and I've got no idea. In the background, I'm not thinking through as I'm complaining about my room. I'm complaining about that I'm having to share with somebody when I didn't want to share with somebody. I'm complaining about people saying a certain word for the higher power because, out of the Bible comes Jesus. So we mentioned that it's the Bible. That's where the steps come from. I got very upset with that. But the point is, like rooms and things like that, you forget there's people in the background doing everything the very best they can to put you in the right place, to make you welcome, to make it a nice place for you to be. And so I'm bigging it up for the Kasaras, for the Lisas, and for the Melissas today.
Right. And, I'll jump on board with that too, because some of the efforts that we found is, as we travel around the country and we do these retreats and we hear this, why didn't anybody ever tell you this? A lot of it is that the original message has been lost, or it's been so watered down or so skewed that there's so many hurting people, guys, that just aren't getting this message, and they're getting it in an off way. And we know what the message was, right? Right from Clarence to Steve to us. And we have the big book, which if you read it, it tells you how this goes. we've taken a real responsibility, and with Lisa and Cassara and the Melissas and Dee and Terry and us in the background, we're really, really going to bring an effort to help others be able to spread this message, because it's such a responsibility to me, guys, when I show up at these retreats, to make sure that the teaching, it's not about Tom, it's not about Dee, it's not about Terry, but if we aren't up to our game and know this stuff really well and teach it, somebody's life's at stake.
Yeah.
And so we want to ensure that what we're teaching is what it is, that's the life-saving message, and we give them every tool that they need. And that when we are developing our other leaders that are going to do it more and more around the world, they know it too. So systems and things are being created in the background just to do that. We're helping that. And Lisa has been working tirelessly on a development manual that we put together. Alicia out in California has had a lot of input. At Dee, you and I had a lot of input into it at the beginning. And it's a tool that we're using, but all this stuff, guys, takes time, and it does take some money. Nobody's getting rich. It's all just to cover expenses and stuff.
Yeah.
And to be able to spread this message so that we can do it.
And it's good for us as well, isn't it? Because we sat down originally when we were, what are the main points? So we know it's all in the Legacy Guide, the 12 steps, and we know it's in the big book, and we know there's backup in Dr. Bob and the Good Old Timers. We know that. But if you're going to have a short period of time, like at some of our meetings, we might have a very short time to give the main messages that you can't miss. And if you're going to, if you are going to run a session, say on step 1, there's certain things you just mustn't miss. But there's others that you might add in, and you've got your own experience. But we were going through that, weren't we? What are the things in each step that you just absolutely, they're like the basics that you cannot miss. And then afterwards, we, of course, expand. So it's quite important to expand, afterwards. Well, it's not quite important. It's vital. You don't just leave a retreat, which I have seen happen, and just do nothing. There's a lot of work to do. And you need to study the book deeper, don't you, Tom?
Yeah.
You need to read the history. Find out why. I wanted to know, actually, why. Why does this work? And then I started reading the history, and I was like, so like Clarence, Dr. Bob, and Bill Wilson, others as well. Like there's a whole load of them. Did you ever meet Marty Mann or who is the Annette Nelson?
I know Annette Nelson very well.
And did she start the retreats up with Clarence?
She did start it with Clarence. It was Annette and Clarence.
Yeah, and we've now put them on a digital download for people like Annette Nelson speaking, Marty Mann, who was the first woman to recover. I mean, when they've said men and women on the big book, they had one woman at the time, actually. They just got one woman, but, it has expanded. But Marty Mann, it was Marty Mann who was that person. And there's others, there's like, there's Dr. James Shea. He was Jim. Who was the whiskey in the milk, which was on there. I thought it was hilarious when somebody said you just went in for a milk.
Right.
And I was just like, I know what you mean, but we didn't put any whiskey in our milk. So, it's that guy. So we you can access those through the retreats and digitally now, not just, we're getting cool. We're not only got CDs, we've now got QR codes. And for somebody who's not young like me, I feel quite good about that we've gone that far.
I mean, CDs are really a thing of the past. If you gave me a CD, I wouldn't be able to play it.
Oh,
I don't even have a CD player.
No, that's it.
The cars don't come with them anymore in the US. There is no CD player. So the QR code MP3s are on the computers, the only way to see it these days.
I've still got a CD player in my car.
It's interesting that although technology is evolving, the message, the grassroots is staying pure.
It's staying pure.
And that's the great thing about it. I mean, that's how
Good
the world's
point,
evolving. I mean, there's more means to get the message out, to connect, and to continue. The message is more pure in its form of what it was back in the early AA.
Right.
The Oxford groups.
And, guys, we don't claim to have the only answer. I mean, people do get recovered other ways. We know that. But we certainly want to be one of the options. That's what we say. Can we just be in the mix? Came to believe that's my mission. And I know that it's Dee and the core group that are running it at the very least, we just are the option for somebody. When they look to get recovered, they could do this or this or this or this or this. But that came to believe this weekend retreat, this option is there for anybody that's seeking recovery. And if it works for you, you're freed. If it doesn't, even the big book says, our hats off to that man who can find another way. And we all know people that have recovered and come out of drugs and alcohol and other disorders, other ways. We do. But but we do claim, when people come, we show you the way they did it. It's not about what we would call Burger King AA, which is have it your way. We teach the way they did it.
Have it your way.
Burger King. So when you come here, you hear the steps the way they did it. And we say to you, give it a shot. If it works for you, you get it. If it doesn't, but there is only one way that it worked back then. And it worked really well.
I'm going to say hello to Therese. Therese comes to our Tuesday meeting. And Therese joined us originally on the virtual retreat and recovered by going through the steps at the virtual retreat. So I'm just saying hello to Therese.
So, one of the big, the real excitements for me, and I know it is for Dee and our gang in the leadership team, is that when we say that we want to reach the least, the last, and the lost, we want to search to the most broken. Retreats, sometimes we open registration, they have an element of wanting to come, right? They know about it. They come voluntarily, they pay for their room and their board, and they come. But there's people out there who aren't at that place yet. But don't they deserve a chance to hear the opportunity that they could possibly be recovered? They could get out of the brokenness. And so this movement of us into missions, rescue missions, and homeless shelters is really exciting because they are truly the least, the last. These are people who are right off the street, this close to being right back on the street with no means. And we go in and we do this for nothing to them. And we go in and we share this message. It's so exciting to me because they are that one more step closer to being, gone maybe. So it's really exciting that we're good. And we are going to seek, guys, even more and more ways to get that, to get connected to even out there and closer to the front line that we can, because we stand outside the door. Maybe someday I'll read that poem, but we do. We stand outside the door of where people can come through to find the answer to recovery. But if we're not out there meeting them right where they're at, they'll never come.
It's really easy to start, because it's such a great experience personally. I've got to be careful of this, to start moving inside the door too far ourselves, because we discover what works. And so it's very exciting when you have a spiritual experience and then a spiritual awakening as the result of the steps. It's very easy to stay in there rather than going back out again. It's easy to enjoy what's happened, and it's wonderful to enjoy freedom and feeling a sense of comfort rather than the discomfort or the disease or anything like that. And life starts to change, and we start to meet our, this beautiful power who I call God, and I'm a Christian. This amazing power that I have met, but I can stay in there and be full of that rather than standing at the door and meeting people where they're at. And I'm always needed to be reminded of that.
Mm-hmm. Because outside the door for me is where I needed someone to be. Yeah. I needed someone to meet me where I was. And had they yelled at me from a spiritual high ground, I don't know that I would have responded.
And by doing this 12-step work as well, we're taking out insurance for ourselves.
Right.
It's the great part of it. So, you buy something new now, they go, do you want extra insurance? I don't know, I'm getting too sure. That's what happens. By helping someone else, by coming, seeing other people, get this life-changing message is a beautiful thing to be a part of as well. It talks about that. You know what I mean? Why would you not want to see this grow up around you? See lives, people get their families back. You know what I mean? And family members, from a personal perspective, there's family members that may need this message. But they're in this denial state. I can't just force it. Come on a retreat. It's like when they're ready, be consistent. We keep doing what we're doing, and as retreats grow and expand, and the virtual retreats, there's a place for them to come. There's a place for them to come.
And it's good that you said that, Terry. When BJ's on, she always reminds me, it is a family program. It's a family disease, and that families are welcome here. husbands, wives, Al-Anons, bosses, whoever, they're welcome to come and learn that same message, because family gets sick together, family gets well together. So it's open as the founders were. Those original meetings, the whole family were going to those meetings.
Reading that, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, right. That was the fellowship,
50 people.
you know? Yeah. And it was everybody, you know? And so we seek to do the same thing. One of my even more exciting things is going that one step even further, where they're not in the shelter yet, where they're on the street, which we haven't engaged in yet. But the whole idea of even going one step closer into the harm reduction world, where we go out and just love on people
Yes.
that are out there just to keep them doing things to keep them alive. I mean, what are we supposed to be doing? You know, or how far out do we go?
I think God will provide opportunities for that.
Right.
I was walking down the street the other day, the guy was just there, and I was sort of looking to my friend on the phone. It's like, I think I'll cross over the road away from him.
Right.
I went towards him, you know, and the guy said, "Oh, hello, mate, you doing?" And he's like, trying to stop cars, and they go, "Oh, I've just come out of a lock wall." I said, "I'll come from a lock wall. I've got a problem with drugs. I've had a problem with drugs." You know, and it's just that, you know, we are the message, you know, in the sense how we conduct ourselves. God will provide opportunities, but obviously, what we're trying to do, taking things forward as individuals, you can't do so much.
You can only do so much.
Oh, absolutely. And you can't push anyone. But I was just thinking what you just said there, Terry, about, you know, when the big book talks about that, you know, there's debate with some people about whether you should have alcohol in the house, or, you know, should you offer alcohol to people. It says quite clearly that it's your own choice, but there's no reason why you shouldn't. And that they said it's a good idea to have a few beers in the house to carry green recruits through. So we're not there to just be telling people, you know, and actually the very last day that Dr. Bob drank, Bill Wilson gave him a beer because he got the jitters. And that was, you know, so we, you know, harm reduction and that sort of, that link between that, you know, we need to be not standing on a spiritual hilltop. You know, we need to make relationships. And like you say, Terry, it's about what our beautiful God provides for us. You know, the opportunity just to be there and to care for people and not be spiritual hilltop. We shouldn't be talking from spiritual hilltop.
Right. I mean, I'm actually going to go visit one of the safe use sites that has opened up in New York City, where people can go and actually use their drugs, and they and it's not just exchange needles. They watch them use, right? But they test it for fentanyl, and they, you know.
Yeah.
Those that are going to use, I mean, and to some of you out there, I know that our audience is generally people that understand our disease or are part of the disease, that, oh, you can't, that's enabling, you can't. They don't understand when someone's in their addiction, they're going to do it no matter what. I mean, the addict is doing it. So if they're going to do it in a safe place, and we get a chance to get them, you know, keep them alive until they're ready, why wouldn't we want to do that? I mean, I don't know that Came to Believe is going to do that, but why would we ever want to put our effort against it? That's for sure we won't, you know.
And we need
There's Anna.
We need to have
Hi,
respect
Anna.
for people. Oh, you were, Anna. We were wondering where you were because you're nearly always there. Hello. So that's really, we've had a very wide-ranging conversation.
Right, today. But, you know, I think what lends that conversation today, guys, is us, who have been doing all these different things now over all these years and have been integrally part of starting the retreats, going places, doing the virtual retreats, being in the meetings. I mean, between Terry, Dee, and I, and Melissa, I mean, Melissa's relatively new at this compared to us, but is hands and feet into it. We just grow more and more and more in our dedication to making sure that this keeps going. Hey, there's Carrie. Carrie is from North Webster, Illinois. I got that right, yeah.
Illinois.
And we were out doing that retreat there. We're going to have another retreat out there, Carrie and Mike. They're great new leaders. They're going to come and help us in California. We're going to go back to the Rescue Mission in California, and they're going to come to Missouri and help us. They helped us open the Missouri. So hi, Carrie. She's doing great. Her leg is healing really well. Anybody that knows about it, Carrie's going to be up and running pretty soon. I think she said she's going to do a 5K with me next summer.
You're always saying that people are going to do 5K and 10Ks with you. You try to
Nobody
he's
does.
trying to get me
I bet
to do
Casera
a
will.
5K, 10K
Casera
with
will.
him. Tom is trying to get me to do that.
Speaking of that, there is, I've got some connections in New York City. We're going to try to be at some level a sponsor of Sober St. Patrick's Day, which is an event that goes on in New
Which
York
is
City.
the one you want me to run it.
Right. And I've got a connection to somebody up in the organization of it and they're very interested to understand what we're doing. And so we're going to try to get connected to be a part of Sober St. Patrick's Day this year in New York City. Lots going on, guys.
What's going? But you did say I could walk it. Well, I'm either going to run it or not. I'm not walking it.
Well, it might be the same weekend as this North Pennines.
I know it might be. That's the
So-
thing. We've got the new date in March, and I think it might end up being the same date, which is a little bit of a, never mind. You can't do everything, can you? That's why we need more
Yeah.
people. If you've been to a Came to Believe retreat and you've recovered, and you're wondering about, should I come back? And come back and help. Come back and give us support, and you will find what it does for yourself. For me, it's just the deepest, best thing that happens is helping others and getting involved with all the opportunities. Then we don't have to do it all. You guys will do it. And although I'm really young, I am sort of getting older. I'd love more young people, you young recovered people, come and join in, come and be part of what we're doing.
I got corrected.
You got corrected.
She's in Indiana, Napanee. Well, I know that you're in Napanee, but the retreat was North Webster. I guess that was my mistake, but they corrected me.
You get,
I don't know what
no,
I was
I've
doing.
never corrected you.
Yes.
You can take correction at days.
I can take correction. All right. All right. Let's see what Sue says. We might be, I can't read everything.
We might be able to do everything, just not at the same time.
Right. Well,
And lots of people putting recovered up.
hashtag recovered, right? We are going to come up with something. Lisa and I are coming up with a new giveaway, a new thing. It got to be where the shirts were going we just need a new.
Yeah,
new
they
thing.
started going, they were always going to Doc Ross.
Anyway, so we're going to come up with another thing, guys, and we're going to come up with it soon. It'll probably still be a hashtag recovered. Maybe we'll come up with a different hashtag in order to be part of the contest. Maybe it'll be a free entrance into the virtual retreat or some sort of a free covering your expenses for one of our
Yeah.
on-ground retreats, something like that.
I know what I wanted to say that came into my mind about the virtual retreat. Guys, the virtual retreat is the first weekend after Christmas and New Year.
Right.
What a perfect time. When the people, it's a tough time. Some people don't survive that month. They don't they don't survive it. It was the most horrendous time for me. I would say that Christmas and New Year was fun. It was terrible. It was awful. But that end of that first week, virtual retreat, get everyone to get on it. So spread the word. It's open for bookings now, and come in. And we do charge for the virtual retreat. It needs to do it for the platform and to set it all up and to keep Came to Believe working and carry this message. So, but if you know somebody who hasn't got any money and they've absolutely spent all their money, they can apply and say, we don't have any money, and we do. This is one of the reasons we ask for donations, is so that we can help the least, the last, and the lost. And people coming out the other side at Christmas and New Year probably spent every penny if it was anything like me. I mean, my credit cards were not working, and I had a good job and a nice car and everything, but I had no money because it all went on booze.
And it's great as well because you get opportunity. So there's a gentleman coming up this weekend that I met through Zoom, and he just seen me on a different meeting, a platform, and this thing about being different. He heard me talking in sort of code, really. Grassroots recovery. He come on a virtual retreat. He's become recovered, and he's travelling up today to have a face-to-face retreat. And the good thing about the virtual retreats as well, it could be a single parent that's stuck at home with children who've not got the opportunity to get out. Sadly, some people are disabled. They can't get out. So this message, being transmitted virtually is a fantastic thing. And then later on, if you have an opportunity to come to a face-to-face retreat as well, that's a fantastic thing as well.
It's good. I mean, you get the fellowship of being together on the face-to-face retreat, there's no doubt. But I was amazed because Tom and I, we just, at the beginning of the pandemic, I'll never forget that we were like, oh my gosh, we've got to close the retreats down.
Right,
We
yeah.
were like that. And Tom and I had this discussion, what can we do? And we said, do you think we could do it online on Zoom? We didn't even know how Zoom worked properly, did we? We didn't
No,
know
we didn't.
anything.
Mm-mm.
And that first one, I can look back and there were probably loads of mistakes on it of
Yeah.
how it could have been done better, but people recovered, and take you through the 12 steps.
And we've done
really
15
cool.
of them, of the virtual retreats. And stuff.
15!
And,
We did 13 throughout the pandemic, didn't we?
Yeah, my sober date is the 10th of January. So I was one like you, Dee, is I went through Christmas thinking who can quit with all the holiday parties, but it was not fun. I mean, it was tough. But that first week after New Year's, I ventured in and came in. So we're having that retreat that first weekend, and virtual retreat again. Join us. You'll see people from all over the world really that come to the retreat. It's quite an international audience, and the message is as strong and as true virtually as it was in person. And you'll hear the same message that you hear if you come to a retreat.
And you see us guys.
And you see us, yeah, more. So more
More.
virtual retreat. Let's see what my little pop-ups here are covering our comments. I don't like that. Why does that happen?
Why are your pop-ups happening?
Oh, there it is. Personal and private. Even though online, virtual retreat feels personal and private. Oh, I like that idea, for those that wouldn't come, not only the single person with children that has childcare, the disabled person, but what about someone who just can't go out in public and just is not at that place where they could come out and be around people like this? Because we've met people here today. I know they're scared. They don't look at, they're scared. They're here in this place with all these people, all these happy, huggy people, which we are.
Yeah.
And
Especially our American friends.
so we're just,
Yeah, they're like, woo,
yeah.
woo. And
I'm the friendly American always. Dee
And we're
says,
very-
stop being friendly American. I go to the hotel and I know everyone's name within 10 minutes of being there. And she's always
it's
like,
so funny. I mean,
why
it's
do you
like
do that? I'm
talking
like,
to everybody
I do.
on a
Crazy
personal
difference.
level.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
we're like, I'm just more reserved. Even though I'm a bit noisy here, I'm actually more reserved generally. But
I try and bring Tom's enthusiasm to the retreats. Woo, come on!
Yeah, there we go. So, so the virtual retreat is a big deal, guys, and it's a big deal for a great demographic. Another surprise that we had, not only did we not think it was going to work, we had no idea that it was an element that we would want to keep going even after the
yeah.
pandemic ended.
So Doc Ross is going to be he's going to be doing the virtual retreat. He'll be helping out. But what's Seaforeman? Remember the guy on the Lighthouse Island? Remember there was somebody joined the virtual retreat who was on the lighthouse.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was,
yeah.
He was in the lighthouse.
He was on an island with the
Wow.
lighthouse. So yeah.
Wow.
We had somebody from Alaska. We had somebody from Austria, I think, once, from Spain. So, and shows like this, guys, our Recovery Live, that's been now spread around a lot, does get the word out to more and more people. So we really are hoping for pretty large attendance during the next virtual retreat. So it's the 7th through the 9th of January. You can go on our website, CameToBelieveRecovery.org, and click that button and register, and we'll see you then. If you're,
We've got a lot of hashtag recover going up,
we got a lot of hashtag recovered. I don't know.
including Doc Ross, because he's going to win. He wins a lot.
Cheshire one.
When's the next
English one.
retreat here?
Cheshire.
Hashtag recovered. How many are on there? Are you by putting that on? Are you saying we're going to do one more time and give something away, Lisa? By putting it up, we'll do one T-shirt giveaway. Waiting for a.
Quick, put hashtag recovered up.
How many
if
are
you
on
want
there?
to get a T-shirt and you'll get it sent to you.
7. We need a few more entries.
Come on, guys. Put
We'll do
hashtag
one more.
recovered. I'll put myself on.
You put yourself on.
Ah,
Matt.
you-
Yep, she says, yep, we'll do it. Okay. We'll get a
Wait.
t-shirt too. So let's go. All right, quickly now. The numbers are going up, right? Now it's 8. We'll give you just another minute or so. Now we're at 9. Can we get to 10? Let's get to 10. Oh, there's Marlene.
Okay.
Marlene's joining us here right at the last minute.
Put hashtag recovered Marlene.
Yeah, quick, Marlene, put it in so you can be in the contest. There it is. We got 10.
Yeah, we said
Perfect.
10.
All right, here we go. Yep, I see this cursor going. All right, let's go. Lisa's going anyway. Let's see what it is. If Doc wins again.
Oh, Dot. Dot is not.
Yeah.
Christina.
Chris Kim. Who said he wore a shirt yesterday? Christina Grant. So there we are, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today. We're just so happy to be here in. Oh yes, send your size and your address to the email below so that Lisa can send it to you. You know, sometimes we send people win and they don't send us their size or their address or something. She
I
can't
think-
send it to you if he doesn't have your
I
address and
think
your
some
size.
people don't know how to do a direct message because it's not that obvious, you know, on here. So I think that sometimes, so it's like the email is
You
helpful.
can email Lisa at came-to-believe-recovery.org as you can see it there, and make sure you leave your size in, guys, because she can't decide what size you are. So it's great to see everybody here this week. Next week, I'll be back home. And then the week later, guys, we'll be coming to you live from St. Anthony's Rescue Mission in the South Bronx in New York City. It's just so exciting to bring that to you guys. So everybody have a great weekend. We're off to spread the message over this weekend. We're off to work now in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll
And,
go and join in with everybody and come and welcome people. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. See you next